Hi, I'm James the Light Guy, and in today's video we're going to do a continuation of our teardown of the Photon Lab Element Hexagon panels and see what some of the differences between what we're calling the Gen 1 panel and the Gen 2 panel. We're going to start by taking a look at the power adapters. The Gen 1 power adapter was much larger than the Gen 2, and we're going to zoom down in for a second. You can see that they do have all of the same certifications, or at least claim to, and the inputs are the same between 100 and 240 volts AC at either 50 or 60 hertz. This one has an input limit of 2 amps, while this one doesn't specify an input amperage limit. The biggest concern is the output differences. The Gen 1 power adapter has an output of 24 volts DC, 6 amps, while the Gen 2 has half the DC voltage at 8 amps, so a higher current. We're still trying to figure out whether or not that's going to have an effect on which controller gets plugged in and if you can damage a controller by having the wrong adapter. Speaking of controllers, let's move on to them. The controller boxes have identical power inputs and look very similar. However, the Gen 2 has a microphone actually built right onto the board, while these appear to both have a passive infrared sensor, and this has a few more surface mount components. But on the back, you can see that this one has a large slot cut through for potentially better reception on the Wi-Fi antenna on this chip here. And the programming headers on Gen 1 have 6 over here, while Gen 2 are on this side. Now, from the outside, there's no clear way to tell them apart. So we're working on a way to try and reprogram these with an updated firmware in collaboration with a bunch of the guys on the Discord, and we'll be working on that in the future. So hopefully, if anyone has gotten a set that can't get them to work, we're trying to find a solution for everyone. Next, taking a look at the panels. Get these in. The first most obvious difference on the light side of the panels are the infrared sensors on the Gen 1 panel. So we have an infrared emitting diode here and a sensor here for the wave control, which you can see in my unboxing and setup video. I'll put a link in the description below for you guys. While we have additional surface mount components on the front of this, flipping over to the back side, we can see that the Gen 1 panel, every Gen 1 panel had its own Wi-Fi adapter or Wi-Fi chip, while the Gen 2 required hard contact in order to transfer power. With the WLED firmware, it looks like so far, as of recording this, it will be proximity based from the controller. So each, let's zoom out. If the controller were here, this would be a distance 1 panel, this would be distance 2. This would also be distance 2 if it were hooked in this direction. But if it was hooked in this direction, it now becomes distance 3, and the individual addressing of them becomes very complicated. We're trying to figure out a way to simplify that and perhaps come up with a completely different system, but for now, just to keep everyone on the same page, that's what we're working with. So far, I have only been able to pair the Gen 1 panels to an Android device. I still have no idea how to get any support for iOS. We're trying to work on that as well, hopefully come up with a system where everyone can just make it work. As I said, Gen 2 using the WLED firmware, which I just ordered up some programming chips. We're going to do a video on getting those set up in the future. Hopefully we can get it so that anyone watching should be able to have the ability to do it themselves with a little bit of practice. But for now, that's really what we have on these panels. Again, we're going to keep working, and I'll try and post update videos regularly in regards to this project, but stay tuned to the channel for a lot of other upcoming interesting projects. Follow me on Instagram. I love posting pictures of particular lights and my car on there because, well, I'm a car guy too sometimes. And feel free to like, share, and subscribe to the video. It really helps me out, especially the thumbs up keeps me motivated to making more content for you guys. And visit the Patreon page. I hate to be a shameless plug there, but if we can get a few bucks in the hat, it will help fund projects like this and other projects in the future. That's all I have for today, so until next time, I'm James the Light Guy.